Hello everyone, today we will cook lasagna in 1 minute, 1 hour, and in 1 day. Time starts. In such a short time, the only thing that we can really do is heat it up in the microwave. We set the microwave for 55 seconds. And after that, the time's up. Let's try it. Theoretically, it's edible, but it feels like there is no meat in this lasagna. We will have 1 hour to prepare the next lasagna. Put the frying pan on the stove, add some oil, and fry up some ground beef. We break it up with a spatula so that it does not cook with one solid cutlet. As soon as it is fried to a beautiful color, open the ready-made bolognese sauce and pour the whole jar of sauce into the pan. Now you just have to mix this all up and reduce the sauce a little. Done. We will also use ready-made dough sheets for this lasagna. Well, where without cheese? Grate hard cheese and a coarse grater. Done. We also need a creamy sauce, and we start collecting the lasagna. We put a sheet of dough on the bottom, fill it with cream sauce, another sheet of dough. Next comes the minced meat, and we level it. Again, dough, sauce, grated cheese, dough, ground beef, and just like this, keep alternating the fillings until we collect the lasagna to the very top. We send all this into the oven. Set it to the top and bottom mode at 200 degrees. That's it. At this point, the lasagna is completely ready in 1 hour. Let's cut off a piece. In my opinion, it turned out much more beautiful than the first lasagna. Let's try it. Yes, it is way tastier than the store-bought stuff. We will have a whole day to prepare the third lasagna. Let's start with vegetables. Carrot in half, and put it into slices. Then cut into strips, and dice into cubes. Celery too, first with strips. And dice into cubes. Cut a large onion in half. Make incisions from top to bottom. And cut into a small cube. Instead of ground beef, we will use beef ribs. We cut them so that each piece has one bone left and the meat around it. Well, the last thing you need to cut is bacon. With all this set, we go to the stove. And the first thing you need to fry is the ribs. We do this at the maximum power of the stove to quickly set the crust. And quickly turn it over to the other side. The crust on both sides is ready. Now we pour the ribs into a baking tray. Bacon is next in line. We send that into the frying pan. We need to melt the fat from it with a smoky flavor like this. And then fry our vegetables in this. Literally just 3 minutes and they become much more transparent. It's time to open up a bottle of red wine. And add it to the vegetables. We also open a jar of tomatoes and their own sauce and send that into the frying pan as well. All of this is salted and peppered. And mix it up. We put this into the baking tray as well. I decided to add a little bit more wine and seal the baking sheet with foil. We send all that into the oven. The meat has been languishing for 7 hours. It's time to get it out. We remove the foil. And now we take out all the pieces of meat from the foil. And put them into a bowl. And now we just remove their meat from the bones. They practically disappear with themselves. Done. Now using 2 forks, we tear the meat into fibers. All ready to return the fibers to the vegetables. And mix. Here we dust with a good Parmesan cheese. And mix it again. The main filling is ready. Let's move on to the dough. In a bowl, we pour some flour. Let's take a tray of eggs and break it into another bowl. The main thing is that all the yolks remain intact. And now we just separate out the proteins from the yolks. And do that for all 10 yolks. For taste, we salt. And for the elasticity of the dough, pour in some olive oil. And knead it all first with a spatula. And then with your hands. The kneaded dough is transferred to the saran wrap and wrapped up. We let them rest in the refrigerator for half an hour. After this time, we turn it back, once again, and press it again. And we cut it into 2 parts. We roll out each of them with a rolling pin to the state of such an oval. And with the help of a knife, we divide them in half. And now I need such a machine for rolling out dough. We direct our dough layer between the rollers and turn the handle. Now it's been run through once, so we reduce the distance between the rollers and roll it again. We keep doing this so that the dough becomes thinner and thinner. The main thing is to direct exactly so that the dough does not break on the rollers. And that way we'll have a really long and thin layer. We repeat the same thing with the rest of the dough pieces. Now you need to trim the sheets from all sides. Put a pot of water on the stove, and we send the dough into the boiling water. After 5 minutes, we take it out and put it on a paper towel. Dip the brush in olive oil and smear the dough around. We repeat all this for the rest of the sheets. And then, to make it convenient to collect lasagna, we put the dough on top of each other. That's why we lubricated them with oil so that they don't stick together right now. Now we turn to the bechamel sauce. We open up some butter, cut off 30 grams, set it into the saucepan and put it on the stove. It needs to be melted. After which, we pour flour as a thickener and mix it up so that the butter is absorbed into the flour. We pour in 600 milliliters of milk. And immediately, with the help of a whisk, we dissolve the lumps of dough. For spices, we have nutmeg and salt. Now we just need to thicken it and the bechamel is ready. Well, let's finally collect our lasagna. We collect the meat filling and send it to the bottom of the baking sheet. Distribute it evenly. Then we spread out the dough sheets. Pour in some bechamel sauce. And keep alternating layers to fill out the shape. And then we grate a whole bunch of Parmesan cheese on the top. Put all that into the oven. The lasagna is baked for 40 minutes. That's it, she's ready for us. We cut it into portions. And plate one of those portions. Hello everybody. Today we're going to cook noodles in 1 minute, in 1 hour, and in 1 day. Our minute has started. During this time, you can manage, except that, to brew ready-made noodles. Open it up and add some spices. Pour in some boiling water. And after waiting a little bit, we have some ready noodles. Let's try it. These noodles don't taste delicious at all. Now we will cook noodles in 1 hour. We need some chicken eggs. We break off 5 pieces. Pour 200 grams of flour onto the table, and we catch only the yolks with our hands. Then we're gonna make a little funnel in the flour and fill it with our yolks. Here's a little bit of olive oil, salt, and we begin to knead, first with a fork, and then with our hands. The egg dough is ready. Wrap it in film and let it rest for 15 minutes. Then sprinkle some flour onto the table. We take out the rested dough and roll it out with a rolling pin. Once we have a large layer of dough, we begin to fold it. And cut it into strips. Now we just need to straighten out the noodles and just tossing with our fingers. And throw that on to cook. This is not dry pasta, so they cook way faster. Literally 2 minutes can be drained through a colander. Cut off the pulp from a red pepper. And cut it into small strips. Next, we have the carrot. We plate it out so we have such small layers. And then into small strips. Last up, we have chicken thighs. Cut them into pieces. Pour some oil into a frying pan. And we'll fry up our chicken first. With a little layer, we add our vegetables. Let's fry them for just a couple of minutes. And all right, next, we'll make a ketchup-based sauce. Use some hot sauce sriracha, teriyaki sauce, chili pepper, ground black pepper, and red. It remains to mix it well, and the sauce is ready. We send this into our wok. And now we add the egg noodles and mix it for the last time. Now let's remove it from the stove and transfer it into a bowl. And just like that, our 1 hour noodles are ready. Now we just need to dry them. Yeah, these noodles are 10 times tastier than the last ones. They're like sweet, sour, and spicy. Well, let's move on to the noodles that are going to take us a whole day to prepare. Especially for this, we prepared a parcel with Chinese products with a lot of interesting things inside of it. We open it up, and the first thing that we see are these black beans. We're gonna make a special paste out of them. We open them and pour them into a bowl. Fill this with water and leave this in the form to soak for as long as 8 hours. The next thing from our Chinese box is sesame oil. We will fry everything on this, and it has an unusual flavor. Let's grate some ginger directly into the pan. Add a small hot pepper. Drain the remaining water from the black beans. And throw them into the frying pan as well. First, fry them a little bit. And then fill it with water. This also includes soy sauce, sugar, and vinegar. Cook the beans until they finally become soft. Then pour the contents of the frying pan into a blender. Grind it all into a paste. Done. Now pour the bean paste into a bowl. The next lot is this Chinese kansui powder. This is an alkali for the dough, which makes it very viscous. We open it and pour 30 grams into a bottle. Pour 70 milliliters of cold water in. We close the bottle and shake it so that it dissolves into the powder and water. We will also need Chinese flour with a high gluten content. We send 1 kilogram to the bowl. Pour half a liter of cold water in, and here we add half of our mixture with kansui powder, 20 grams of salt, and put this under the mixer. We're gonna knead our dough for 30 minutes. Now wrap it up in film and throw it into the fridge for 2 hours. It's already rested. Pour some oil onto the table. We open up the dough. Put it on top of the oil. Flatten it out. Pour on the water with kansui powder for elasticity. And knead it. It feels like this dough is more like a huge gum. We're gonna turn this into like a sausage type thing. Stretch it out at the sides as if hitting the table. Then we twist it into a pigtail. Fold it twice more, and repeat the same action for another 10 minutes. Thanks to this, the dough will stretch even better. Then we cut it into smaller pieces. Cover it with a film and let it rest for 10 minutes. We take one piece, sprinkle it with Chinese flour, and roll it into a tube. Then we stretch it out. Fold it 2 times, stretch even harder, fold again, stretch, and repeat this several more times. And you're left with these really thick noodles. We're gonna put this on to cook. These types of noodles cook for literally 30 seconds. Now drain it into a colander. And now we go back. In order for the noodles not to stick together, we add some sesame oil and mix. For the filling, cut an onion into large pieces. And a leek, we cut down the center. And we dice it. Next, we have bell mushrooms. Each mushroom is cut into 4 parts. Fresh ginger. First, we peel it with a spoon. We cut it first into thin slices. And then mega thin straws. Pork belly. We're going to cut it to the exact same principle. Done. We're also going to use shrimp and squid for these noodles, but first they need to be boiled. Literally 30 seconds, then we get them out. Done. Now we take our bean paste. You're also going to need some oyster sauce, chicken bouillon cubes, monosodium glutamate. It is used all the time in Asia. Sesame oil, and let's go out. We'll use a reactive oven like this to cook. But first, we need to chop some firewood into small chips. So we open up the compartment for firewood. We ignite some dry fuel and drop it in. You can throw in some shards of wood. This compartment can be closed, but the air vent, on the contrary, is open. The fire is lit, and you can pour some sesame oil into the wok. First, fry up the pork. Then our onions and leeks, and mix. Pour in some soy sauce. For flavor, ginger, mushrooms, and seafood. Fry all this on the Megasol fire. A little sugar, oyster sauce, granulated chicken bouillon, monosodium glutamate to enhance the taste, and a little bit of our bean paste. Now mix it up again. Fill this all up with water. Also, you need to dilute a little bit of starch in the water. And pour it into the wok too, so that the sauce becomes thicker. It's time to add the noodles. And finally, we cut the green onions. Transfer them into the wok. And mix it for final time. And with that, it's ready. Now it can be transferred into a bowl.